On this week's episode, Austin and Tim travel back in time to November 22nd, 1963, the day President Kennedy was assassinated. Instead of saving the president, they spend the day visiting several movie theaters to watch 6 movies. James Garner and Lee Remerick in the romantic comedy Wheeler Dealers. Roger Corman's X, The Man with X-Ray Eyes. The Walt Disney animal film, The Incredible Journey. Jack Lemmon in a screwball sex farce, Under the Yum Yum Tree. Peter Sellers in a British social satire, Heavens Above, and ending the evening with Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine in Billy Wilder's outrageous comedy Irma la Douce. Cats, dogs, sexy stockbrokers, sleazy landlords, radical priests, sex workers, eye gouging. It's all coming up next here on Film Geek Time Machine. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Film Geek Time Machine. I'm your host, Austin Kennedy.
Oh, Austin, I'm sorry. The president's been shot.
Oh, no!
Well, let's go see some movies.
Yay! Who are you?
I'm Tim.
What's your last name?
I'm Tim Kaiser. I have just shot the president.
No.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Yes.
I framed a different guy.
And this is Film Geek Time Machine, where I'm Austin, and I have a time machine, and what do I do with a time machine? I'm a film geek, so I'm going to go back in time, usually to random dates. We didn't this time.
No, but as a matter of fact, this is the 4th one. No random dates yet.
November 22nd, 1963 is the day that we're going to time travel to, not to save the president, but we're going to watch a bunch of movies in Minneapolis. So we're going to see 6 movies. And we looked at the newspaper from newspapers.com, and then we checked out the listings and timed out how we were going to see the movies, noon, 2, whatever. And we each picked about 3 movies apiece, and I'll tell you what they're going to be. But anyways, first, yes, we did pick November 22nd, 1963, because we just thought it would be funny, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, I guess. Now, here's the thing. What we didn't do is we didn't decide to actually travel to Dallas.
No, we went to...
we might have to try to... I wonder if that's a thing we could build into the time machine, and maybe we'll try it at a later time this season.
Oh.
We go to a different city.
You just telegraphed the shit out of that.
Shut the hell! No, that's... It's an idea. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah, oh, and I just want to clear one thing, too, so... As you may have noticed, my last name is Kennedy. I have no relation to the president.
Oh my God, your last name's Kennedy?
Yeah.
I shot you. I shot your uncle.
It's funny. I really
hope the president doesn't get shot between the time that we're recording this and we release the episode.
Because
I'm gonna make a lot of dead president jokes.
I actually have an Uncle John Kennedy. I do, and he's still alive. He is still alive and living in Las Vegas. So yeah,
John Kennedy's still alive.
He's still alive, living in Las Vegas.
Oh my God, everything's a fucking conspiracy these days.
Anyways, yeah. So for the time period, let's go into the time period and talk about the music and TV shows that were out at the times, just so you get an idea of the vibe. Besides the president being shot, a lot of these I bet you if I heard, I would probably remember. But the number one is Leaving It Up to You, Dale and Grace.
I think here's the thing.
I'm sure if we
the
heard
name of the song makes me think, okay, I've heard it before. I just didn't know who the hell sang it.
Right. The one I recognize on here is Sugar Shack. I know that
Sugar
song.
Shack. Well, there's also one called Deep Purple.
Deep Purple.
Not the band Deep Purple.
Right.
A different people who made a song called Deep Purple.
Nino Temple and April Stevens.
The band from.
She's a Fool by Leslie Gore. There's some Elvis, the Bossa Nova Baby.
Oh yeah.
Dominique the Singing Nun.
That is one of the foreign language number ones.
We should go back in '65 and see the movie Singing Nun with Debbie Reynolds, because I've never seen it. So
okay, maybe
it's
if it's an option, maybe we'll watch it.
It might be. Rick Nelson, Fools Rush In. Roy Orbison, Mean Woman Blues. The Beach Boys, Be True to Your School.
Wow, 63? I feel like I should have known.
Chubby Checker.
I am apparently tired because I just yawned on how excited I am all these awesome songs.
Connie Francis, The Angels. Ray Charles, Busted. Marvin Gaye, Can I Get a Witness?
That's early Marvin Gaye. This is the early
That's very
60s.
early Marvin Gaye.
Way before...
Before he got shot by his dad.
Witchcraft by Elvis Presley. I don't know if I know the Frank Sinatra song, Witchcraft. I'm sure that's a cover of it. Oh, Louie Louie by the Kingsmen.
I know. Witchcraft is relatively...
I know Louie Louie. That's pretty much what the music was like. And then the TV shows we got... I got the listings of all the channels this time, so I'm looking at what was out. Like in the morning, we have...
I Love Lucy was off the air by that point.
Right. So this was like... That was in the morning, so these are like syndicated stuff.
Oh, I see. Oh, this is the way they used to do TV listings?
So the primes, they got Twilight Zone, Route 66, Alfred Hitchcock Hour, Bob Hope.
Wait.
Jack Parr program.
These are wrong channel. You're on a wrong place.
Yeah,
because
Channel 5.
WBAP?
NBC.
NBC is Channel 11. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just what it says. Oh, it's listed in the Dallas Morning News. So
these are the Dallas.
But it's still the same.
No, yeah,
thing.
Mostly it's gonna have some similarities.
Yeah, so
but you're right.
Cartoons.
As I said, we should have just fucking gone to Dallas.
Supercar. Now that was, I don't know if you know what Supercar is. Do you remember? You know what Thunderbirds is?
That's one of those marionette shows.
Yeah, it was. Okay. I think it was the first one, either the first or second one.
Okay.
Supercar. And that was before they did Fireball and then Stingray. And I actually am a big fan of those. They made 2 feature films of the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
That'd be another thing to go
back in time. Did they show up in America?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they went to American cinema. So that'd be like Saturday matinees or something. So that'd be
I watched a thing recently about how much those feature films failed.
Oh yeah,
they bombed like crazy.
Absolutely, they were not huge. All right, so this is what was playing in the cinema. So I'm not going to tell you what we chose yet, but these are the ones we didn't see. There's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was already almost 10 years old, but it was everywhere. Yeah, I
watched that a bunch of times when I was a kid.
Yeah, and I just watched it recently, and it holds up. I think it's pretty good.
It's got case tentacle monster.
Yeah.
It's essentially 50s tentacle porn.
There's a at the drive-ins. Oh, there was some drive-ins, so we didn't go. But the Young Swingers, Thunder Island, Disembodied. Oh, there's The Fly, Daughter of Dr. Jekyll.
Oh, OG Fly, cool.
Some of these B movies. Merrill's Marauders, Camp on Blood Island.
Okay.
Cleopatra, we could have saw.
We could have. We would have sucked up the whole fucking day.
I don't know if you remember
and it would have sucked.
My Fiasco book. You know the bombs that the chase was in. That Cleopatra was also in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's just that movie is like really long.
It is. It's like almost 4 hours. It's like 3.5 hours. Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
It's actually it's not bad.
I mean,
I didn't think it was boring. No, it's
weird.
Cinerama was.
You'll sit through anything.
I will. How the West Was Won, Bye Bye Birdie, which we both wouldn't have objected to because we both liked that movie.
That's what also would have been great.
That was, I've seen that too. Her Bikini Never Got Wet. There was 2 Bob Hope movies around. Yeah. That's French
First,
movie.
all French.
Cutie.
There was another French one that we looked into, but then we ended up not seeing it.
Oh, is this one the
Conjugal Bed?
Yep.
Second week.
There was 2 Debbie Reynolds movies. One of them being Mary Mary.
We didn't see 2 Debbie Reynolds movies. We saw 2 movies by a different person.
Yeah. There's a John Wayne movie, McClintock, which the poster of him spanking Maureen O'Hara on the poster.
God, there were a lot of movies we could have seen.
Yeah.
Mostly been fine.
We kind of struggled with this one because there was a sneak preview before one of the movies that we went to go see, but it didn't work out with the time, and we found out. I did some research, and the movie would have
research by showing up and seeing what people were talking about when they left us.
That's right.
That's how we researched it.
Fun in Acapulco was the Elvis Presley movie, so we could have saw that.
Is it early? It's pretty early Elvis, right? Or middle of the Elvis era.
I think it was at the beginning of his peak. I think, but he was already like Love Me Tender was in '56. I think.
Really?
Yeah. So
Jesus Christ.
And Jailhouse Rock was like 57, 58.
You're a movie star. They already Murphy'd him to a degree.
Well, I don't even think he was the main star in Love Me Tender, but he was just the draw to that movie.
Yeah.
But the 6 movies we did go see, so it's funny. There was a movie called The Wheeler Dealers, and we looked at that and like the poster, and it's James Garner in his boxers.
The poster is a vicious lie.
Right.
And the movie is nothing to
and we were looking at that, and we were just like, I have no desire to see that movie. So then we picked 5 other movies. And then we
we ended up seeing that movie.
Right, because we looked at the times, and that was the only movie that was showing at 10. So we either saw 5 movies or watched 6 movies and watched this movie. So then we because I want to watch as many movies as possible.
I don't hate James Garner.
No, and I don't hate
I don't hate Leah Remick.
No, not at all. And I definitely don't hate John Ashton. So
John Ashton. Yeah.
The Wheeler Dealers was the first movie that we saw. Second movie was X, the Man with X-Ray Eyes. Roger Corman sci-fi B-movie.
Yep.
The Incredible Journey, the nature Disney film that was later remade into Homeward Bound, which I've actually never seen the remake.
I think here's the thing. I'm pretty sure I've only ever seen this one time.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Or at least sometime.
I watched this all the time when I was a kid.
I don't think I ever saw this.
No, I never did
There's
either.
A sequel to the remake.
There is, and then that director ended up wanting to do Snakes on a Plane, but that's another story. Okay, that's another story.
Snakes on a Plane is spectacularly enjoyable.
Under the Yum Yum Tree, the first Jack Lemmon of 2 that we saw. Heavens Above, which is a Peter Sellers British satire, and then Irma la Douce, which is a Billy Wilder film, reuniting also Jack Lemmon, reuniting Billy Wilder, who did The Apartment, with Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. They're all kind of reunited and did this movie together. So that's what we saw. So let's go to our first movie, which is The Wheeler Dealers. Let me click on this.
I'm going to have to look at my notes because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't remember much about this movie.
You know what's funny?
Super not memorable movie.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right now. Out of all 6 of the movies, this is the least memorable one. But I don't think it's my least favorite because I thought it was kind of enjoyable.
Yeah, it's probably not my least favorite. It's okay. It's going to be a toss-up. Here's the thing. There's a version of me. There's a mood that I could be in where this movie would piss me off maybe.
Okay.
I didn't care enough about it to get pissed off. Similar to like when I got really mad about Vice Squad.
Yeah.
And you didn't give a shit enough and I'm like, I apparently just got pissed at it. This one, I'm like, I didn't understand half the shit they were talking about sometimes.
Me too.
And I'm like, because it has like all this financial
jibber-jabbery,
and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about?
So it's weird. Because I felt the same way. So James Garner plays a oil man, and it has like a neat kind of I'll say this about the movie: the cinematography is really great. It's shot super widescreen, and a really bright color. It looks really nice.
I think everybody in it is really good in the movie.
I think so too.
I just didn't care. I didn't care what the fucking movie was.
Watching the movie, I had like a mild smile on my face through most of it. I'm like, yeah, this is fine. So
it's hard ranking. This is gonna be a hard ranking.
So he is an oil man, but his oil wells have dried up, and it's kind of funny because when they show
never had oil wells. He's been digging, and he never found any fucking oil.
When the oil is going, and all of a sudden you hear this sort of like a fart sound, and it's like, oh, your wells are dried up.
It was a very attempt at comedy fart sound.
So then they have the title, which has this great kind of really crazy energetic musical number during the
I liked the song.
Opening title. Yeah.
Christy Minstrel.
Oh, right. Yeah. I thought that was awesome.
And I'm like, this song's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it started up and I was like, wow, this is like a bright, energetic film. And it was a good way to like wake up in the morning and see this movie at 10 a.m. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then we're introduced to Lee Remick.
Yes.
She is, now she plays a stockbroker working, and she's trying to like make her way, but
she's like a token female that they hired in
right,
1963.
And she's actually really good at her job.
Yeah.
And they were planning on just like hiring her and just like
they're basically looking for an excuse to can her ass.
Yes,
but she keeps not sucking.
Right. And Jim Backus is her boss.
Yeah,
and he's pretty good in the movie. Actually,
everybody in this movie is weirdly good. Even there's like 3 rich guys who
they're awesome.
They're funny.
Yeah,
but I also hate them because they're pieces of shit.
And one of them is Phil Harris, the voice of Baloo the bear.
Oh, so really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Chill Wills is the other guy, the voice of Mr. Ed or whatever.
That's probably why they're so good at the role that they're doing.
So yeah, they're kind of rich Southerns that are friends with James Garner, and they kind of whatever James Garner's into, we're gonna invest in because.
Yes,
they just follow the money.
He's like makes money and everything, except for they literally started the whole movie out with a
scene he's not making money,
where he was failing and making money, and I'm like, I'm confused.
Well, James Garner comes in and he always has like some kind of angle or something, and immediately when he sees Lee Remick, when they like interviews her, because they're like they assign his boss, they assign her to James Garner to try to get some stocks or whatever like that. Immediately he's just like, whoa, who's this hot chick? But it's funny because he never like actually physically advances on her.
Not really.
No. But it
is different, because it's a movie.
Yeah.
At like the half hour mark, I'm like, they're gonna end up together even though she fucking hates him. I know they're gonna end up together. Okay, but whatever.
Well, she is not interested at all. Where seemingly, well, actually, when she sees
every other woman who sees him is super.
Actually, when she sees him,
fucking James Garner, he's attractive.
Well, when she does see him, she does she is like,
Yeah.
whoa. But then
She-
she gets a hold of herself and be like, nope, I'm not gonna like him.
She expected a dirty cowboy.
Yeah, and as soon as she saw him, she was like, I mean, her first reaction when she sees him was like, oh, he's a hottie, you know. I really liked her roommate. She was, I think, really fun in the movie. You don't even remember?
I'm having a hard time remembering the roommate. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I think
I
you're
liked
not
her.
wrong. I think I kind of liked her.
No, I liked her too.
But I think her character kind of went away after
It
a
did,
while or
it did.
something.
But he like tries to like show her like how awesome he is by like she's like, oh, I like this fancy restaurant. She's like, oh, I'm gonna buy it for you, and he buys the restaurant.
He
And-
didn't say that then. It
No,
was
but he
like
just
a
buys-
surprise.
It was a surprise, but he
It's
just
like actually there's a bunch of times where they haven't talked to each other for a few days.
yeah.
And then the next time she sees him, she's like he brings her back to the
Yeah,
restaurant.
yeah.
The restaurant's different.
Well, she thought he disappeared, and all of a sudden he's like, oh no,
No, instead I
Yeah,
bought
yeah.
this restaurant.
and let me have that steak burnt. You know, so
Yeah,
he wants
that's
to
like
burn steak.
that was like we're supposed to like him. He's fucking he's a well done steak monster. Okay?
And then, you know, so it goes back and forth. She's trying to woo her, but also he's just trying to get some money. I also love the kind of the running joke when they show the three men in a business meeting, and then he calls on the phone. He's like, "Okay, let's go here," and the camera tilts.
I mean, are
Like-
they in a business meeting? It
No,
looks
no.
like they're in a sauna or something.
Right.
And then it reveals they're on a plane.
Right. Well,
private
they're
plane.
having a
That-
meeting.
That seems to be one of those planes that just never lands.
Yeah. So they're always in the air, and it's like, "Hey, can you call?" And the camera tilts, like, "Oh, they're on a plane."
They're ready for the apocalypse, Austin.
I
They're
thought-
always flying.
I thought that was a funny gag.
It happens like 3 or 4 times.
It's funny. This is one of those movies. The more I think about, the more I like it.
I'm torn about this.
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah.
I'm very torn.
And so, yes, so I don't understand anything about stock market personally.
Well,
like,
here's the thing. I thought this movie is a western.
Oh,
It looks
okay.
like it's going to be a
Yeah,
western.
yeah,
That
yeah.
poster has a
Yeah, yeah.
big cowboy hat.
Yeah.
I mean, he's from Texas,
Yeah.
sort of. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
He's from Texas. The poster has like a big cowboy hat.
Yeah,
Has like a drawing.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, it's a
Yeah,
western.
it does.
And then, nope. It starts right off. I'm like, oil.
Yeah.
This isn't a western. And then I'm like, oh, it's just going to be like a modern western. Not really.
No,
It
not at
all takes
all.
place in New York.
It does. Well, it's sometimes it's like a fish out of water thing, a little bit,
Kind of.
and then. Well, then there's this whole thing with widgets where, you know, like, hey, let's invest in these widgets. And
that
so
was when I started losing
Exactly, so
my
the-
knowledge of what the fuck was happening in
all
this
of
movie.
that stuff for me is kind of like, it's just there to drive the plot around, just to have some kind of, I think, semi-charming scenes between Lee Remick and James Garner, because I do think they had a little bit of chemistry in there.
Yeah, they did. They
And-
actually did.
and I even
could
like
tell
the
right
scene-
away that I'm like, I think they may actually not hate each other
Well,
for reasons that he's a good-looking dude and she's a hot 22-year-old.
Well, I like that one scene when they're in the hotel and she's like, okay, let's get separate rooms, but then they're on the same floor, and then she's like, oh, we share a bathroom. Nope, you're sleeping in the car. And then,
Yeah.
but he's not pissed about it.
He's like, I understand.
Yeah, and so
But some of that
I don't
is
kinda hate
he's
him.
playing up the Texas thing.
yeah.
Because it's revealed later on
That he's
that
not
he's
really-
actually from Boston.
Yeah.
Although, was that real? That was also possibly a lie, because when
could
she
have been,
says it
yeah.
to him, he doesn't get surprised that she
No.
found out. He mostly just seems confused. And I'm like, is that because it was like a person who told her
Right.
or something? Yeah, it was the artist guy who actually I liked him.
Oh yeah.
That guy was cool.
Okay, so the artist guy. This is so funny.
I forgot about the artist guy until right now.
This artist guy was her kind of former boyfriend or whatever like that, or someone she was kind of
Something
seeing
like
on.
that.
Yeah. He's played by Elliot Reed, and it's really funny because I was just re-listening to some of our episodes during the Gentlemen Prefer Blondes episode. Elliot Reed is the private investigator going after Jane Russell in the movie. Jane Russell's love
Really?
interest. Yes. And
Boy, he looks different.
it was funny. On that episode, I go, Elliot Reed, I don't really know. I've never seen him in anything else before. And I'm like, oh, well, here he is.
Now
He's
he's one
here.
of those people. Behind the scenes thing, Austin has this magical file.
Yeah.
It is a list of all the actors
Yeah.
that we have seen in more than one film.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now he's in that list.
Yeah, we do have someone that has, I think, reached 6 or 7 movies, and he's in the next movie, and I'll talk about that.
Yes.
And okay, I really did like James Garner in this movie.
I always like
And and Lee Remick, I thought she was good too. I
Yeah.
really liked her. And
That's
I'm
why
not.
when you ended up messaging me and saying, well, the only thing I could figure was this, and I'm like, I'm not going to overly complain. It's still, I like
Yeah,
James Garner.
Well, I liked him in this because I don't know if I've necessarily seen him with this over the top Texan accent. And he's going, and this is our second James Garner movie because he was a small role in Distinguished Gentleman. He was the old guy that died.
Oh, you're right. He was in that. I was trying to remember. I'm like, was he in another one? He wasn't in that. He died.
My favorite performance in this movie, though, is a character that just kind of comes out of the blue at the end when they're having the courtroom thing. John Ashton fucking cracked me up in this
John
movie.
Ashton is great.
He's in 3 scenes.
He's like third build in this movie, I think, too. But he isn't until... he's in a couple of minor little background things, and then the courtroom thing.
I'm not even sure exactly what his role exactly was.
He's a prosecutor.
Yeah. But he is so goofy and wacky, and just his facial expressions, and he's like, "Okay, Your Honor." And he's
Aston's amazing.
And I was laughing so hard every time he spoke. I'm like, "Oh my god, he's hilarious in this movie." He was definitely my favorite part. So yeah, this isn't a movie that's gonna change the world. It's not gonna make you roll out of the aisle laughing. But as for a mild diversion, I think it fits the bill. So I'm gonna give it a mild 3 stars.
Wow, 3?
Yeah, I give it a 3.
I'm sitting here torn between 2.5 and 2.
Okay. I think it was
2.5.
Okay.
I'll go 2.5.
But there isn't anything, like 2 would mean that there's some bad elements in it. I don't think there's any bad elements in the movie.
I don't know.
There isn't anything spectacular.
I think your 2 is different from my 2.
Yeah.
When you could shit on a movie and then give it a 2, and I'm like, 2? I'm on you think of the 4-star thing as a 4-point rating.
Yeah.
It's 5 points. 2 is dead center because 0 is a thing that exists for me.
Yeah.
Okay?
2.5 for me is like it's almost there. I can almost recommend it. 2 is like there's half good stuff and half bad stuff.
Oh, okay.
For me is that's how I feel about it.
Okay.
That's
giving 2 some really shitty.
Anyways, I'm gonna give this a 3 because I think for what the movie was.
I did not see it.
I think for what the movie was trying to do, I think it fits the bill. So I think it's fine.
It's a Hollywood. Actually, it is different. Except for, yes, they end up together. It ends up with some nonsense where she hates him.
Yeah.
And then, out of the blue, she pivots to loving him again. It's going to happen in a later movie.
It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know, so I just kind of went with it. So you're at 2.5, maybe?
2.5. I'll
Okay.
move it up to 2.5 just because of my good friend Austin.
Yay. All right, next is X, the Man with X-Ray Eyes. No, you've seen this.
I had seen this as a child.
I've not seen it as a child. Holy shit.
Well...
It's gonna scare the shit out of me when I was a child.
This movie is legit.
It's unsettling. I would say unsettling.
It's fucking legit. Roger Corman
this is
directed this.
Yeah, this is our first directed Roger Corman film that we've done.
Roger Corman can actually fucking kind of direct.
Yeah. Oh no. So it's funny. So I didn't really see a lot of Roger Corman movies growing up. I always heard about him, and he's people are like, oh, B movie Roger Corman, but I don't think people give him the credit for. He knows how to place a camera. He knows how to put a movie together.
There's some cool shots in this movie. And the budget is 0.
Oh yeah,
you can tell watching, but I'm like, the budget works.
I'm always kind of fascinated with them. So in the past 10 years, I've probably seen a good half dozen, maybe 7 or 8 Roger Corman movies. Now I've seen a few of his Vincent Price movies, which I think are all pretty solid. Mask of Red Death and
it's
his
weird
Edgar Allan Poe movies.
We watched 3 Roger Corman movies in a row in the very first episode
that he produced. He did not,
and weirdly, a couple of them were directed by people who went on to be significantly bigger
Jonathan
directors.
Demme, for sure. Well, he was known for giving.
And I actually think he directed this better than all 3 of those together.
I think so. Okay? Yeah, no, I think so too. No, I think he's a pretty decent, solid filmmaker, and I think when people talk about him, they talk about like, oh, his shitty movies or his B movies. I'm like. He can actually make a movie though.
He can make a movie.
He's good, but the thing is, the reason why he didn't become like a prestige filmmaker is because he picks B grade material.
This is the kind of movie he wants to make.
Yeah. So he's attracted to that exploitive material. So, and this was made right in the middle of his Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe movies. So he was like, he just directed like The Haunted Palace earlier this year, and then boom, he made this movie. This stars Ray Milland, who also went on to start doing B movies because he started doing Academy Award. Like he won an Academy Award for Billy Wilder's Lost Weekend in 1945. But then he started doing this, and then later on doing Frogs that we already did.
Frogs. But he's pretty awesome.
He was fine in Frogs. Yeah,
Frogs is terrible. But
he wasn't the problem in that movie.
Yeah,
no,
he wasn't.
No, so he plays Dr. James Xavier X. He
yes, this is Dr. X.
Yeah.
1963, Dr. X.
Yes.
Stan Lee stole the shit out of
That's
this movie.
right.
I don't know if he
So he is a doctor, and he's developing something where have like
eye drops.
Eye drops,
That
so you can
give
see
you-
better.
Because he talks about
Yeah.
humans can only see in a very narrow spectrum.
That's right. That's
And
right.
he's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we can see so much more. Now, granted, in this, it gives him actual X-ray eyes, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure if you see more, you'd be fucked, okay?
Yeah.
Because this is the thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I read, I want to see if I can find this article.
Yeah.
But I've read this awesome article years ago about people who were born blind, but then had an operation, and then later in life, they could see.
Oh.
It's mostly they had like horrible cataract. They had something more on their eye. It wasn't their eye didn't work.
That's cool.
It's just they couldn't see. Those people were fucked.
Yeah.
You didn't grow up learning how to see.
Oh.
Out of the blue, they suddenly could see. They hated it.
Right.
They fucking hated it.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. And so this movie, it does kind of capture that scariness a little bit.
Here's the thing.
For sure.
That's why this movie works. Because this movie is a movie about addiction.
Yeah.
Also, it's fucking terrifying because he is fucked.
Yeah.
Because he keeps doing the thing.
Yeah. Well, he starts experimenting on, was it monkeys?
The very first one is a monkey.
Yep.
It kills the monkey.
Yeah. And they're like, well, I'm going to try.
Explain
Well,
why.
then he's just like, I'm going to try it on myself. I'm like,
it's just a monkey.
Don't you
He
realize
went
that?
crazy because he couldn't fucking understand what he was saying.
Right. So the first time he does it, when he does it, well, and then he kind of be friends or kind of almost like he's going to have a relationship with the other doctor.
Like that there was no relationship.
Right, but
nobody ever talks down to her.
No.
She is fully just a full equal in this
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
There's somewhat, maybe a little of that, but he isn't like played up or anything. She cares for him. He cares for her.
Yeah.
It isn't a loving, it isn't a romantic thing at all. Really.
No. I feel like that it's underlined.
Yeah.
But it's not like out in the open or anything like that. But then the first time like he actually puts on the eyes, at first it's like he can see people without their clothes.
Yes, it was very much the hokey. Somehow he just now he actually can't see clothes.
Yeah.
This is the opposite of your effect. Okay.
So like he's talking to like this one girl asks him to dance and he's like, hey, and she's like,
there is no nudity.
No.
There's almost.
Yeah.
And it's because later on, Roger Corman, no problem with nudity.
No. Well, that's because he couldn't at this point.
Yeah.
Because of
But also, weirdly, it would have made this movie more hokey.
I think so too. Yeah. That was kind of cool. But so when I'm watching this movie, I'm like going, because at this point there really wasn't anything scary or unsettling.
So what did you know about this movie? Had you never seen it?
I kind of knew about the main premise that it was about a doctor X-ray vision.
Okay.
That's about all I knew. So then the movie, like what happens is he kind of does become addicted to it and stuff, and then his doctors are, then he can start seeing, and he wants to use that so he can like look at people and be like, what's wrong with you?
Yes.
Right.
He wants to use it as a superpower.
And there's a person that,
to see into people's illnesses.
Right, and then he's like, they're working on someone, and he's like, no, don't use that, and then they're having a fight. But then like one of the doctors like approaches him and was like, hey, this isn't cool. He wants to like try to cure him. Pretty much getting a scuffle, and he throws him out the window.
Worst
pretty
scene
much.
in the movie. He accidentally knocks this guy out a fucking closed window. It shatters the window, and he falls to his death.
You know what?
I understand how it's a very important thing.
I thought it was unsettling because I was just sitting there and I was like, holy shit, So it did kind of startle me.
It's just that I'm like, there's a way to do that where the window is open. At the very least, make the fucking window open, okay?
So anyways, he goes on the run. All of a sudden, it like...
It's a second movie.
It turns into something else. Now, this is what I was not expecting. This is where I thought the movie gets really interesting because he is now at a sideshow carnival, and he is like a sideshow trick where he's blindfolded and he looks at people's wallet, guesses what I'm in, and that's where
it also gave him like microscopic vision because he reads the guy's like social security number from across the room in the guy's pocket. And I'm like, holy shit, that was amazing now.
And that's
Don Rickles is what he's working with.
Yeah, Don Rickles. But Dick Miller, who this is his 6th or 7th movie on the podcast, so character actor Dick Miller.
God, that's who you're talking about. Huh?
Dick Miller,
the guy he like shits on, that was him.
Yeah, Dick Miller. Okay. And he's also Mr. Futterman, Gremlins.
He makes him mad.
He's in every Roger Corman movie. Okay. Even the ones that he produced. So that's why, since we've done a bunch of Roger Corman produced movies, that's why, and he's in Matinee as well. So that's why he's in like 6 or 7 of our movies. But yeah, Don Rickles in kind of a rare role of him not improving and not doing his stand-up.
But he's still Don Rickles.
Yeah.
He's a jerk.
Yes.
Which is what Don Rickles is amazing at. And he's really good in this fucking movie.
I'm actually a big Don Rickles fan of stand-up.
He's good in this fucking movie.
He's really good in the movie, yeah. So he kind of plays this guy who's, he's kind of greedy and wants money, but he sees that, oh, he's legit. He really has this power kind of thing. Because at first he didn't know, if it was real. But he's like, I think especially when...
He just assumed it was a
right.
joke. Because it's a sideshow thing.
Yeah.
It's all hokey.
But when a girl falls from a Ferris wheel and then he looks at her and like, oh, broken ribs, and he's like...
He sets her bones.
That's when he's just like, wait a minute. Anyone can tell she had a broken leg, but no one could tell she had broken ribs. So you're legit. Yeah, but whatever.
Yeah. You got magic fucking powers.
Right.
Like, oh, let's make money.
So they're like, you know what? We're gonna go to New York and we're gonna spread the word out on the street, and we're not gonna charge a dime. We'll just take donations.
That was a great scene.
Yeah.
Because he's like, how are you gonna make money? Donation.
Yeah.
The look on Rickles' eyes, and I'm like, holy shit, Rickles is so fucking evil in this. It's so good.
Eventually, the doctor that was working with him in the beginning of the movie finds out and like tracks him down and is trying to help him. And he ends up,
and that was great too, because how she tracked him down was people would show up and they already knew what they had.
Yes.
And it just kept happening. He goes, there's only one fucking person in the world that could just literally, they would talk about a guy who just looked at him and just told him what it was. He goes, well, I fucking know who that is.
Well, yeah. And then, so the movie ends with it. He like drives out. He's just trying to get away from everything. Because now his vision is like, he just sees like x-rays everywhere.
He keeps using the stuff, even though he knows he needs to stop.
And it makes
this is the full addiction thing. He can't fucking
and it
stop
makes
himself.
It worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
He gets brought to,
the driving scene.
Oh, the driving scene in the helicopter chase.
Amazing.
It's really
I'm like,
good.
holy shit.
You can't really see.
Fucking goddamn direct.
Yeah.
Because I believe that guy who can barely understand what the fuck's happening in front of him is trying to drive a car.
And the thing that actually really shocked me was the very end of the movie, of course, spoilers, as always, is, he goes to the church thing, and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, there's like 5 minutes left in this movie. What's going to happen? There's the pastor is like preaching to him and stuff, and then it's he says something about like, well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia, but if the eye offends thee, pluck it out, and he plucks out his eyes.
He does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the end shot of the thing.
Yeah. And then he's like, but the way the sound is, the sound design, music, and whatever, I was just like, it really made, if I had hair, it'd be standing on end. So I'm like, holy, I was just like, it was just, and I couldn't get that image out of my head for days, because it's unsettling.
It's unsettling. So do you know about the sort of fictional, mythical other ending?
Oh,
the extended ending.
Yeah,
where he plucks out his eyes and he can still fucking see.
Yeah. So, I read that.
Stephen King.
Stephen King said that, there's an ending that's supposed to go on longer. Roger Corman denied it, though.
Yeah.
But he said that would be a better ending.
He's like, Roger Corman, that's the whole thing. That's why I believe that doesn't exist, because Roger Corman actively says...
Yeah, it's down here.
That he wishes it did exist.
Yeah, now that's interesting. His ending is better than mine. That's what he said, So, that's interesting. So, so a lot of the dialogue, because this is a B movie, and so the story, I like the story of the movie. The script itself, like dialogue, is not all that interesting all the time. But it's a competently made film. It's certainly unsettling, and at 79 minutes, for what this movie was trying to accomplish, it succeeds, and I'm giving it a solid 3.
I'm going 3.5.
Cool.
I really was like, this movie. I remembered. Here's the stuff.
Yeah.
The only really scene I remembered after, and it actually happened a lot earlier.
You saw this as a kid?
Yeah, I remembered seeing that he had the bandages on his eyes.
Yeah,
and he was still just talking to people like they were there. I remember as a kid that when they showed that he had the bandages on, I'm like, holy shit. And now I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, how the fuck did I not know? It was so obvious. It's in the X-ray vision camera mode.
Yeah.
But whatever. I remembered that. But then I was watching the movie and I'm like, this movie's pretty fucking good.
It's pretty good.
And then Rickles shows up and I'm like, everything after Rickles comes in,
yes.
all that Rickles shit is 4-star material.
Yeah.
That is an amazing film.
Yeah, I agree. So the next movie is The Incredible Journey. And so I watched this so much as a kid.
I've seen it maybe once or twice.
Obviously on Sundays they would have Wonderful World of Disney, if you remember.
Yes.
And so we recorded
it. Probably on twice a year.
Yeah, my dad taped it on VHS, and then this was so my sister, like this was like her favorite movie, and so my little sister, so we'd watch it over and over again. I haven't probably seen it probably in 35 years.
Oh,
probably.
it's been longer than I was in the 70s when I watched it.
It's been a long time, and when I watched it, there was a lot of stuff I didn't remember in the movie.
I didn't remember.
So
I didn't remember how much humans were in this movie.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because all I remember is that, and I'm like, why are we on these humans? Because I don't fucking care.
Also, another thing I didn't remember is, shut the fuck up. The narrator just
he's
talking about shit that I can see. Shut up.
Yeah.
Let me watch the animals.
So, in a nutshell, the one sentence premise is a master kind of leave, or he's not really the master, but a guy leaves the house and the animals are trying to go back home. That's pretty much
babysitting. Essentially. But they're like 150 miles away or something.
Right. He is taking care of his friends' family's pets.
Yeah.
And there is what kind of dogs?
2 dogs and a cat.
2 dogs and a cat. Is that a Siamese cat?
That was Siamese. They said Siamese.
That's Teo.
I think it's Siamese.
Teo, Bodger, and then it's Luouth? I don't know how you pronounce it. I can't remember. He's the yellow Labrador.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bodger is the other
Bodger's, yeah.
Okay, now there are almost certainly people who know about the remake.
Yeah.
In the remake, the animals, they don't talk. They have a
voiceover. Michael J. Fox is the voice of one, and it's
but
they don't talk like Babe,
psychic
but it's
abilities. Because they can communicate with each other. In this, you don't hear it, but they are doing that.
Yeah,
the animals are looking at each other, and the animals in this, they're well-trained animals.
Awesome.
I'm like, fuck, these animals are really good.
They're really
at
good.
Portraying the thing they're supposed to be portraying.
Right. Well, so at the beginning of the movie, he's gonna go hunting or whatever, and the lady that's going to come take care of the house while they're gone, he leaves a note, and it's a 2-page note, and the second page gets burned in the fire, but the first page says...
I think it was the first page that got burned, because the second page was the weird one that started in the middle of a sentence, but it sounds like...
Well, no, because he said, I'm going to take the animals, and then the second page was like, with, out for a walk, then I'm going to go, but that page burns, and it just said,
it did
take
say
the
something
animals.
about take the animals.
So she goes, oh, you took the animals with them, I don't have to worry about them. But anyways, they don't have anyone there to take care of them, so they go trying to back to where the family that they used to live with, and it's what did they say, 150 miles away, or
something like that.
It was in Canada,
and there's mountains in the middle. And they repeatedly, and it's in Canada.
Yeah.
Although everybody in this movie is very European.
Very British.
But I mean,
there's British.
I don't know. I think there might be Italian.
Yeah, I think so too.
Nobody in this movie is fucking Canadian.
So
okay.
And the rest of the movie is just them coming across different things, like they're crossing bridges. There's water, and then there's like animals, like bears and whatever. So there's different things that go on, like nature stuff. Now,
they get attacked, quote unquote, by a bear.
Yeah.
Circus bear that can walk, because that is the least terrifying bear I've ever seen. Okay.
So all the scenes with the animals are really fun.
Yeah,
they're really great. They're really great.
I wish that guy would shut up. But I liked all the animals.
So they had a narrator. Narrator talks to the movie, and he's just like, now this person, now Teo wants to go over here, and now he's going to look at this thing over here. I'm like, we can see that.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah. I think there's a way you could make this movie with zero narration.
I think so, but I didn't mind if there was just a bit narration, it'd be fine.
You would still need the humans to say stuff to each other that we then go like, oh, they're going home and stuff like that. That's all we really need to know.
So for me, I was a little disappointed, because I was like, I love this movie so much, and then I watched it, and I'm like, man, every time I went to the humans, I'm just like, let's go back to the animals, and so I thought there was a little too much humans.
Well, some of the human stuff makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
The cat. Well, the dogs go across like a stream, and the cat don't want to know fucking stream shit.
Oh,
tries to figure out a way across, ends up in the stream.
I love that.
They think the cat is dead.
Yeah,
the animals sit there, and without the narrator, it would have been better.
Yeah,
if the animals just sat there mourning the loss of their pet, their friend. I mean,
that was really cool.
But then the cat gets rescued by a little girl, and then the cat just leaves the little girl because she wants to be with her friends.
Also, too, I don't know if you can make this movie that way anymore because they just literally threw that cat into the.
Oh no! I was watching and I'm like, I wonder how many cats died making this movie.
Because they literally, there's
There
really
was
the dog and the cat in Whitewater Rapids.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
Disney literally just took a cat and threw it in the stream and said, film now, film that cat drowning.
So-
okay.
obviously, animal activists are gonna watch this movie and they're like, like scream because
Yes.
there's some stuff
Mostly
in it.
that one, and I mean, just the fact that there's a trained bear, because that bear is super trained.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
bear
yeah,
does
yeah.
not look like he is trying to
No.
attack anybody.
No.
Okay,
No,
the bear cubs are adorable.
yeah. Oh, I like and then the porcupine scene, and then Lewis gets
Right, there are bear cubs, right? Yeah.
yeah, oh, that's bear cubs.
I remember
But
that.
the porcupine, and then the dog gets the
Oh,
porcupine.
yeah,
that was cool.
They're there. They have to take the other dog,
Yeah.
and put it outside because the other dog is trying to protect
Yeah.
them while the humans
Yeah.
are pulling the quills out.
Yeah, that was a cool scene. Actually,
That was really cool.
I really like that.
That was really
well,
cool.
Bodger's
This
my
movie's good except for the part where it sucks.
Bodger's my favorite actually. Bodger,
Yes,
he's
Bodger
so sweet, and he's the oldest dog,
was
and
so
and he always has to. Oh, I gotta take a break because my feet hurt.
so
And he's like
filled with
sitting there in the
sorrow.
water because his feet hurt.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Well, the narrator is like, "No, Bodger's very tired, but gonna continue traveling. Oh, I'm too tired now.
yeah.
Bodger must rest. His friends have to come back
I-
and rest next to him." And I'm
I
like,
really
"Shut
like
the fuck up."
My favorite relationship in the movies between Teo and Bodger. Like they are like so cuddly and cute with each other.
They are.
They
are.
really-
And the cat is accurate.
Yeah.
And that the cat is there.
Yeah.
Is a cat.
Yeah.
Acts differently. Will happily go ahead, come back.
Yeah, yeah,
travel
it's just
around.
going all over the
dogs
place.
Stay next to each other.
Yeah. The cat's just all over the place and then comes back and
Yeah.
and I thought that was cool. And then the ending's a little cheesy with the animals making their one at a time entrance. which-
Yes.
except I do laugh when every time
But
Bodger knocks that kid down.
But
I remember laughing at
but
that.
I will admit, I had some tears in my eyes
Oh.
when the last one showed
Bodger
up.
showed
I'm
up like, "It's
"God,
Bodger."
the kid's so happy now. God damn it.
So when I was a kid, I mean, in my head, I had it in my head. I'm like, this is one of my favorite family movies. And now I'm watching it. I'm like, oh man, it's not as good as I remembered it because of the human scenes. All the animal stuff is great.
Yeah.
So I'm at a 2.5 on it. I think if you love animals, you should probably watch this movie.
Yes.
It's really cute,
I agree.
and it's easily watchable. I could sit and watch it again.
Yeah.
I was between a 2.5 and a 3. I'm
That's
gonna
the
give it a
weird
high
thing.
2.5.
I
But
hated that fucking narrator. He
Yeah?
just talks and
Yeah.
talks. He fucking narrates when there are humans on the screen, and I'm like, humans can tell us this. They can talk.
I do think the human
Shut
scenes,
up!
the human scenes, even though some of them are necessary, just the stiff dialogue and the stiff acting between
Yeah.
them. If you got other actors in there, it might have been even better. So
What did you give it?
I give it 2.5.
2.5. I might have to go 2.
Really?
It's weird
But the animals
because
are
the
so
stuff
cute.
I loved, but God, the stuff I hated, I fucking just
I didn't
shut
hate
up.
anything
And
in
I
the movie.
just like
I
the
didn't hate
humans
anything.
were so. No, actually, like the family with the little girl that rescued the cat.
Yeah.
That should be in the movie.
Yeah,
That
I think
makes
so.
sense.
That makes
They
sense.
rescued the cat.
Yep.
Blah blah blah. I mean, okay, we'll go 2.5. We'll go 2.5. Because
Two and a halves
there's
in a
too much
row.
stuff that I do like.
Yeah, I don't think I can give it lower than a 2.5.
Yeah.
It was
There's too much stuff that
there's
I
some enjoyable
legitimately love.
stuff, and if it brought you a little teary eyed too, come on, it's better than a 2.
I'm an emotional baby. I'm so emotional, Austin.
All right.
I'm filled with emotion.
Our next movie is Under the Yum Yum Tree.
Had
I
you
love
seen
that
this
title.
movie?
I've never seen this movie.
Okay, I had
I
heard of
didn't
it,
even
that's
know.
it.
I didn't know anything about
I
it.
didn't know one iota about this fucking movie.
So Under the Yum Yum Tree, Jack Lemmon. We get to see Jack Lemmon in a movie. Actually, there's a lot of great character actors in the movie. Dean
There are.
Jones, who went on to be in the Love Bug, he was in a lot of Disney
Yeah.
movies. Ugly
Yeah,
Dachshund.
he's the male co-lead.
Yeah.
I guess. you'd call
Imogen
it.
Imogen Coco. She was always on the Sid Caesar show, the show of shows, and then she also was Aunt Edna in Vacation.
Oh wow, really?
She's the maid that comes in to the house and is like, what are you doing? That's her. That's Aunt Edna.
She was in that movie 20 years later?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Weird.
Yeah, that was her. Anyways, Under the Yum Yum Tree, Jack Lemmon is a landlord, and his name is Hogan. He's a swinging bachelor, and this is interesting because usually when you see Jack Lemmon in a movie, he's playing someone naive.
You're supposed to like him.
You're
He's
you're not supposed to like him. I
No,
don't think, in this movie,
in other movies with Jack
Yeah,
Lemmon, I
you're
mean,
supposed to like him.
You are not supposed to like
No,
him.
no,
He
you're-
is a monster.
No, and he's really good at.
Oh,
This
he's
movie.
surprisingly good.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
But-
Jack
but-
Lemmon
but-
shouldn't be this good at being
Right,
garbage.
but usually Jack Lemmon, he's a likable person, and I also think too the reason why you accept him, at least for me, why I accepted him in this movie is because he's Jack Lemmon. If it was a different actor, it'd be like, I can't even enjoy this movie. But because it's Jack Lemmon, I think it makes it
he's
enjoyable.
really good.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you're like, okay.
I was laughing at how
understand.
just like crazy he was.
I was.
So.
This is another one that tore
Actually-
me.
actually really like this
I'm
movie.
relatively torn on this.
Oh
movie.
no, I really
I
like
mean,
this movie.
I don't know.
Okay,
It's weird.
so yeah, but Jack, what like I said, he's playing a
Well,
naive
like I said,
person
we
usually.
didn't know anything about
No,
this.
no.
You don't see Jack Lemmon first. First, you see what's her face and the
Yep.
boyfriend.
Yep.
And
So
they're trying to
Caroline,
find a place to live
yep.
and stuff.
So Robin is they're gonna get married to David, and they're like young college kids, and she's like, hey, let's get married. But then they introduce this thing where she takes this marriage course, and it's
yes.
yeah, and there's just all these different.
Oh God, is it ever hokey bullshit?
No, it's hokey, but I kind of
It's
like.
funny.
I like the
It's funny. It's a
conversations that it
full
brings up. Like, hey, can a man and woman do this? Can a man and woman do that? And they kind of bring up these interesting things. And two, they're like, well, you know what though? I'm going to do an experiment. I think that we should get to know each other. We should move in together, not have sex, and
we should live together,
and we'll find out
but
our
we
true
should
characters.
Not have sex.
Yes. Well, the first scene you see them
And
making out,
and he's like,
too. People are making out under trees
I
and the
think
thing.
I'm positive at that point he agrees with this because he's like, what a terrible plan. Of course, we're still gonna have sex.
yeah. I actually really like Dean Jones in the movie.
Yeah.
He's actually pretty good.
I like him too.
Well, his voice, he kind of sounded like Jimmy Stewart a lot. When he kind of, oh, what are you doing over here? And he kind of talked like that a little bit. And I'm
I
like,
think maybe you had hearing problems because I don't remember that.
I thought he sounded like Dean Jones or James Stewart. Anyways, so she moves into this place where you find out
It's
so
like
her
it's her
aunt,
right?
and professor.
Well, she finds out her aunt is moving away, and she
Yeah.
goes, has anybody got your room?
Yeah. So she wants to go in there, but then you find out that she was kind of sleeping with the landlord. Then you find out it's played by Jack Lemmon Hogan, but he sleeps with he has like an arrangement with all these girls, and he only rents out to women.
Oh, not just women.
Young hotties.
Okay. He rents out to it, obviously gay guy.
Yeah.
Who is not playing gay in this movie, but I'm like, yeah.
Paul Lynn?
We all know Paul Lynn.
I love him. And
he's great.
He's also by Dirty
But
too.
I'm like,
yeah.
he's trying to play super lecherous, and
But,
I'm
well,
like,
he's
I may know too much about Paul Lynn.
Well, he's with
okay?
Well, he's with the maid.
That's
his wife, and he's always like looking at him, like, "Oh, you're doing such a."
Oh, I'm so happy.
I love the way
I
he-
wish I could live your life.
I just love the way he talks. He just says that. Oh, look at you! You're doing this thing, and he's just. I just love watching Paul Lynn. He's in the Beach movies too, and I love him in those movies.
He's phenomenal in this.
Yeah,
movie.
I think he's so funny. So anyways, so you see Jack Lemmon has this arrangement. He's like going to the girls, like, "Hi, Gigi, hi, blah blah blah," and and
they are.
But Edie Adams,
I'm meltingly attractive.
a little bit. Edie Adams in the movie, so that's she plays the aunt Irene, and she was kind of head over heels over Jack Lemmon. Actually, liked Jack Lemmon.
No,
but she's trying to get away because she's like, he's garbage. I want to get away from him.
She fell for his tricks.
Yes. But Jack Lemmon, I think, legit kind of actually liked this one. Like, I think.
I think he likes them all. I don't think he
just doesn't want to lose her. Yeah. Anyways, so he's at first, because he's just
no. He mostly just doesn't want to lose her because she's a chick he's banging.
Yeah.
The moment she sees the replacement, he does not give a shit.
Yeah, that's true. But then you see his pad, and I love the art direction in it because it's bright red.
Oh,
and then I laughed so hard when he pushed when they pushed that
violins.
button and these violins come out and start playing music. That was fucking hilarious.
They autoplay, and I'm like, they did a good job. Are those things real? They might fucking work.
That was pretty fucking
understand.
Cool. That was
because
cool.
they're violins that are like mounted. And then there's like a robot arm that plays it, that does the bow, and another robot arm that does the strings. I'm like, this can't be real. It's 1963.
So he sees Robin's going to move in. He's like, okay, yeah, you can move in. And he has all these plans. And at first she's like, I have a roommate too. And he's like, is she blonde? No, brunette. But she's talking about her
Describe
fiance.
Your roommate. And she just says, dark hair, attractive. That's all she says. I don't think he even mentions. He just assumes
it's a woman. Yeah.
Because their stupid plan is dumb.
Yeah. So he's
Because you wouldn't say roommate
no.
if it was your boyfriend.
And I don't know why I was getting. And maybe it was just because of some of the sets and stuff. I was getting like Three's Company vibes.
Oh,
from the movie.
this movie is chock full of Three's Company,
right?
Three's Company
I
misunderstandings.
Yeah. So I'm a fan of Three's Company actually. So
good for you, Austin.
I love John Ritter and John Ritter.
I know, no, I mean, it's just I don't know. It doesn't hold up.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's all problematic stuff, but it's like funny stuff. I don't know. So Jack Lemmon, the whole rest of the movies, is like trying to get Robin, but then he finds out that this David, David's the fiance living with her, and he's just like, But then he finds out their plan, and he's just like, that's a stupid plan. That's not gonna work. So
my job is to wreck your fucking relationship. He's
trying to sabotage it. That's for like the rest of the movie, and there's just crazy, wacky scenes. And one of my favorites is I love it when he he stays out. Well, he keeps on coming to the apartment. That was like a running gag because he keeps on having keys. So he's like, how do you keep on getting into the door's open? No, it wasn't open.
Yeah, that happens a lot. He
funny.
Repeatedly says door open, but he actively has infinity keys
and
for everybody's place.
I mean, he aggressively comes in there to the point where it's like they should probably call the cops.
Oh, they usually could have.
Yeah,
But I also never saw a lease get signed.
No,
so I don't understand what the hell's happening.
Oh yeah, and it's what, $75 a week.
Oh, well, that was hilarious because at one point somebody asks him what it costs. He says $400 a week, and then they said $7, and then he tells her $75.
Yeah, she's hot.
I'm like, because she's hot, and I'm like, $400 is $1 million in 1963 money in the suburbs. Okay,
but one of my favorite scenes in the movie was when he's sneaking up above, and his head hangs down from the window.
This full slapstick cartoon.
And then they watch, and they're both watching her undressed with the silhouettes, and Jack Lemmon is like, oh. Makes that face like
not just that, but the boyfriend Dean Jones is also like, "Oh, this is not gonna work." Dude, there's literally a thing where I can see your silhouette undressing, and it's like a magic silhouette.
Yeah.
Because somehow in the movie, the silhouette has a different shading on her bikini parts.
Right.
Numerous times, I'm like, "How the fuck did they do that? That silhouette's fucking magic powers."
And then, so then the movie gets into all these different things. I actually really liked Edie Adams in the movie as Irene. I thought she was.
Oh yeah, she was great.
Awesome. She was
great.
She was really good.
Fucking hates Lemon's character.
Yeah,
absolutely hates him, and does not cover that up at any point.
No. So here's the thing about the movie. I was worried that because I didn't know how this movie was going to end up. But halfway, in the first third of the movie, when they're setting up the premise, I'm like, is Jack Lemmon gonna end up with her?
I'm gonna tell you,
you were gonna be screaming if that was gonna be happening.
Mad, but also, I'm like, no, there's no way.
Well, I thought that's what they were doing.
Her character is real dumb. Okay.
Oh,
she falls for his shit
repeatedly.
Yes. And then even other times where he obviously is doing sleazy shit.
Yeah.
Later scenes, she'll be like, "Oh, he's a good guy," blah blah blah. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And then I'm like, God, I've talked to women like that. They don't seem to understand that the only reason they're getting anything is because of how pretty they are. They think the world's just fucking magic and special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, is this gonna go? And then, but I'm like, okay, it's good. It's about Dean Jones and it's about them and how they end up together, and I bought it. I got into the relationship, and at the end of the movie they get together, and Jack Lemmon is still a monster at the end of the movie, because you're like, oh, he's gonna turn a new leaf, and then he sees the women show up, and he's just like, come on in, ladies.
A new vacancy sign has basically been put up. Actually, like 3 of them, because everybody fucking moved out.
And then a bus of women come up, and he's just like, "Come on in."
I'm only renting a men now. And he goes, well, I'll find a new place for my girls. Girls?
Yeah.
And all those girls are like waving at him, and I'm like, good God.
So, and then there's the running gag with Jack Lemmon trying to. She's like, oh, the way that you can overcome, pretty much essentially blue balls is by exercising.
Being too tired for sex.
And so
how do you know? Middle-aged men too tired for sex because they're out of shape.
And it's goofy because obviously this is movie land. This isn't real world. And so there's like a whole montage scene of him working out with Jack Lemmon being his trainer.
Oh, yeah.
I was laughing.
That was funny.
That was really funny.
Is a funny movie.
I actually really liked it.
Didn't at the end piss me off. I'm like, It did.
I
What
thought it was
hoping
going
it was
to.
gonna do,
I thought it was
and
going
I'm
to,
like,
but yeah.
I like this movie quite a bit, actually.
I like it a lot. No, I'm 3.5.
I'm just gonna go 3. It's not as good as the 3.5.
I laughed so hard in this movie.
I liked it.
I think Edie Adams is great. Paul Lynde is great. I love Imogen Coco is so funny as the maid. There's a line that she says in the movie where Irene is talking about to the maid, confessing to the maid, confiding in her that, I'm in love with Hogan or whatever. She's like, oh, I might throw up. Hold on, I'm gonna. She says something like, and that was pretty funny. I mean, she just had some great.
I do
dialogue
believe that if
and
I
lines.
watch this again, I might like it more
Because you know where it's gonna go.
I might
maybe.
like it less. I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna like it more.
I don't know. That's why I'm gonna go with 3. I'm
Okay.
gonna go with the 3.
Yeah, this one surprised me because I've heard of the title. Oh, I love the opening title sequence with a woman dancing under the tree.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this?
The opening song is another kind of a little banger by James Darren.
Yeah, oh, that was
And
really
I'm
good.
It was a good song.
It was really good.
Under the young, and I'm like, this is a fucking terrible but enjoyable fun song.
Oh, and I love it when they says, "Oh, the yum yums." They're like, "Oh, the yum yums."
Yeah, I'm like under the yum yum tree. I'm like, what's that even mean? Oh, that just means banging. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
what
just
that
literally,
means.
it's 1963 movie comment on banging. Okay, everybody, I need to say something.
Yeah.
Okay. We've kind of given mostly positive reviews.
Body
Those
bump.
are about to drop.
Oh,
I
no.
can tell in the next movie. I can tell you didn't like it either.
Oh, no.
I think you already said you liked it. You had another movie that you didn't like earlier.
Maybe
and
we'll find out.
We haven't gotten there yet, and I know you liked the last one.
Yeah, we'll see. Heavens Above. Okay. Heavens Above is our next one. Now, this is the one I picked because I'm like, oh, you're welcome. Peter Sellers. Because I'm like, oh, it's a Peter Sellers movie. I want to see Peter
I didn't know
Sellers.
anything about this movie.
I didn't either. It's by John Boulting and Roy Boulting, their brothers, and they made a lot of British farces together, including I'm All Right, Jack, that also starred Peter Sellers.
Apparently, this movie is it's pretty similar in some ways, they said.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And after I looked into some stuff.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting movie. Peter Sellers plays a reverend. There's a small town, and it's weird. I love the kind of the way they started the movie with kind of showing what's the name of the drug.
Oh God, I think I wrote it down.
I wrote it down many times, but I'm sure I'm gonna.
It's a fake drug because it's both.
It's 3 in 1.
It's a stimulant.
Yeah.
And a depressant.
Yes.
And a laxative.
And a laxative at the same time. Yeah. And so they had this big advertisement, and this town kind of has this
sedative, stimulant, and laxative. That's all I put down. I don't have the name.
It has an X in it, right?
Yeah, it has an X in it.
So, and the town is, what is it? What is the name of the town?
It's small town. It's small town British. How do you know?
Orbiston.
Boy, is this movie British.
Oh, it's very British. Yeah. Complete with dry British humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it is fine.
But there's also times where I'm like, I don't know what they just fucking said.
Oh, really?
And I didn't understand when I did. When I heard other times, and I'm like, I understood those words. I just don't know what they were fucking talking about.
So, they're trying to. They want to assign another reverend to the parish, and they're like, "Oh, you have someone perfect. Let's get this guy John Smallwood to do it."
Yeah,
and
then
the guy goes like, "Okay, John Smallwood," and he gets the address. And then when you see them pull out the name, there's another John Smallwood right behind it. So there's 2 John Smallwoods.
Yep.
So they get the wrong one to go, and Peter Sellers. So this is probably more of a conservative town, and Peter Sellers has some more open ideas. Like he's just like. He doesn't believe in like eye for an eye and all that stuff. He's like, hey, let's.
Yeah, there's a lot of this where I'm like, okay, I like his character. By the end of the movie, I'm like, do they not like the character in this movie? This movie kind of throws its own.
Yeah, I think so.
This movie doesn't seem to. Halfway through the movie, I'm like, if you remade this movie now, people would get pissed. And then by the end, I'm like, if you remade this movie now, people would just be confused because I'm fucking confused.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. So I'm going to say right off the bat, Peter Sellers is really good in the movie.
Yeah.
I think he's really great.
He's different than any other role I've ever seen him in.
Well, what's so great is that he's always smiling and he's always like, hey, that's, he's so open-minded. Like, I actually wanted to know him. Like, I would like, I'm like, he seems like a very friendly person that I would actually like to know this person.
But I think by the end of the movie, they're trying to make like him to be out like he's the bad guy in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the fuck's going on in this
Right.
movie.
I liked the first 2/3 of this film. I think I like this movie more than you.
Yes.
I like the 2/3 of the movie quite a bit. The first 2/3.
Well, here's the thing. My problem, even though I was like, okay, I like what this movie's doing for like the first 2/3.
Yeah.
Even though there were times where there were like entire fucking scenes, and then it gets to the end of the scene, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna have to. Hopefully, I can figure out what the fuck just happened later on because I have no idea what the hell they were talking about. Okay. At one point, there's like a family that he like helps.
Yeah.
And that's
They're
why
a caravan. They're in a gypsy caravan.
He's helping them. At one point, the father in the family, other people are like telling the father that they have to move or something.
Yeah,
He goes, but
yeah.
my business is here. And mostly my business is
collecting welfare checks.
So he's like a vet. So he also has a veteran thing and all that stuff. And he goes, but I can't do any of that somewhere else. A lot of the other stuff, he also has like his family. And he does have like some small business of some sort. And then, so he kind of helps them. But at one point, like, one of the weird, confusing things is the father of that family has this speech, and then he calls himself a fiddle, and he goes, "I'm a fiddle?" I'm like, the fuck? The fiddle? A fiddle an insult? I don't understand what the fuck just happened in this fucking scene. I'm so baffled. Because this movie, I mean, yes, it's British. Boy, is it British.
Yeah.
There were times where I didn't understand anything because of Britishness, but I understood at least what we thought was happening until the end.
So the first 2/3 of the movie is essentially Peter Sellers is having all these ideas and open things like, hey, let's he gets this rich lady to kind of brings her into the church and has her like donate stuff and food and everything.
Yes, because he's like convinced her.
Yeah.
Well, and she kind of fought against it early on.
Yeah.
Where he was like, she was like saying, you don't like me because I'm rich. And he goes, I'm actually trying to save you. Because the Bible says if you are legitimately going to be a selfish piece of shit, you're going to go to hell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And she kind of goes for it. And I'm like, okay, I can understand. But like I said, not a religious guy. And I kind of just think threatening people and making people do stuff because they're going to get punished by hell for eternity. The whole concept of eternal punishment by a person who supposedly loves you. God is fucking asinine, but whatever. But yes, that stuff. But she's good, and then she tries to convince like her son. Yeah, and her son is a piece of shit. Yeah. But then they tried to start doing stuff where he has destroyed the local economy. Yeah, and I'm like, what? Because my company doesn't get money from you. Because she's like giving it away, and I'm like. Here's how economy works, morons. She still bought it. She just then gave it to somebody else. Somebody still got that money. What are you fucking talking about? This doesn't make sense. Well, so boy, do they start shitting on his whole plan of being like good people.
Well, I feel like that it's what I think what this movie is trying to be is a social and political satire. And
it periodically there are just here's a joke. One kid is like reading Lolita in church.
That was
and
funny.
I'm like,
well, and Lolita, and it's funny also too because Peter Sellers was in Lolita the year before, so I thought that was.
Oh wow, okay. But yeah, it's just which is like the jokes. These are the jokes.
Well, there's one,
but there's also like other things that I'm like, was that supposed to be a joke?
There's one subtle joke, and I don't know if you caught it towards the beginning of the movie at the parish or whatever, not the parish, but at like the headquarters or whatever, or with the bishop. And someone's on the phone, and he's like, "Boy Scout again?" You know, and I'm like, was that just a priest joke about Boy Scouts?"
That's weird.
Like,
some of the weird stuff that happens in this movie in the end is so weird. At one point, he hires a black guy to be like working there.
I really that's Brock Peters. Brock Peters is really good.
Oh no, that guy was amazing.
Brock Peters is great.
These super conservative rich assholes
they don't like
are mad about it.
Yeah.
At the end, the super conservative rich assholes are supposed to be right, and I'm like, are we supposed to believe those racist monsters?
I'm not sure
I don't understand. I didn't understand anything about the end of this.
Right, I don't think we were supposed to. I think it gets a little cerebral at the end, and
is it cerebral? It's the opposite. He literally ends up in outer space.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happens is all of his ideas and everything outrage everybody, and they pretty much almost lynch him. They like take him, and they like beat him, like almost to death. He gets saved by the cops who put him in the paddy wagon and bring him. They're like, if we didn't, you'd be dead if we didn't get you.
And then
so
they move him.
They move him to an island where they have astronauts at for the rockets.
British astronauts.
And so he's talking
to
so
in
now
1963.
So now he's worked now
space program.
Yeah, so now he's talking to this astronaut, and all of a sudden the astronaut goes into space, but nope, it's him, and he starts singing his sermon, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, we all know it's happening.
Yeah,
because the astronaut's like kind of sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm kind of trepidatious about this, whatever." And it's like, well, obviously he's going to end up.
And they threw him there.
It doesn't make sense, even though I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because they were fucking telegraphing it.
Yeah.
And then somehow he ends up all the way in outer space, but he hasn't said a word yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not how space works.
Well, and it's interesting, and I know that there was something they were trying to say with that, and what statement. I'm not sure what they were trying to do.
I didn't understand.
No.
By the end of it, where they're all mad at him because of charity, was so confusing, and I'm like, I'm not even sure if I'm mad because I'm not sure if I'm just not understanding what the fuck's happening in this movie.
So the first 2/3 I actually really liked. In fact, it reminded me of I could see the Coen brothers doing something like this.
Yeah, like I was thinking, and I'm like, boy, a remake now would be really cool.
Yeah,
where we have a person who is religious, but also isn't one of those dickheads. Okay,
I also guarantee you, I bet you, the Coen brothers have seen this movie, and we're kind of influenced by because the thing I like about the Coen's films is that all the little tiny characters in the background and everything are all eccentric and weird, and that's kind of what all the little townspeople and all the people that work with the bishop. I liked all those little characters.
I liked the family,
like the butler who worked for the old lady. Like he comes in and he's like yelling at her.
Butler ends up being a real piece of shit slowball.
Yeah. And I just really liked all the characters and stuff. And there was some stuff that legitimately made me laugh at just weird things. I love the guy who played, Ian Carmichael, who plays the other Smallwood. He comes in and he has like this kind of, his teeth sticks out and he's like talking. And just his whole mannerisms and the way he talked just made me laugh. Literally 2/3 of the movie, I'm like, I was at a strong 3. I was like really digging it. And then the ending happened. I'm like, did I like that? I don't know. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, nope, they botched it. I think they botched it.
They had a message.
Yeah.
And then they said, fuck our message. Let's make funny shit happen at the end. Everybody gets mad at him because of the fact that charity is happening. And I'm like, what? What's happening?
Here's the
all the bad guys end up winning is what happens.
Well, here's what I think is interesting. I think that and they're not alive, but if I talk to those directors, I'm sure they had a clear reason why they did everything. And I bet you if they say it, I bet you it would kind of make sense. And I think so.
I think that maybe because like I said, there are points in this movie where I'm like, I don't know what just fucking happened.
I think there's a reason.
Have to push through.
I mean, I do feel like there's a reason why everything happened, and I don't know if maybe a second viewing would make it make it more clear, or I would see clearly what they did.
I was really by the end, I was just like, what the fuck just happened?
But I really like Peter Sellers, and I really like the first portion of the film, the first 2/3, and then it just falls apart with the thing in space and what they were trying to do. And
the whole strike, and they like attack him, and I'm like, what's going on?
That made sense to me because they were showing.
It didn't make sense to me because they were literally talking about how this money disappeared, and I'm like, she paid for the stuff. She didn't pay you. And maybe what you do to fix this is you ask her to buy it from you and then give it to people. You don't go to the fucking guy, the priest guy who instigated charity. You go to the woman who's just doing her charity slightly maybe wrong, okay? She's getting other people's stuff.
Right.
And now your shit's gone. I understood that. I just didn't understand why they were mad at the wrong fucking person.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense because I've seen movies before where people turn on good intentions and people, and so I think they were trying to. I know what they were trying to do there.
But then somebody tries to put them right. That does not happen in this.
No,
those people get mad. Then we're just going to ignore that because now we never even see that town again.
Yeah,
the last 10 minutes of the movie. Gone.
So that's why right after that scene, when when the town goes after him, that's when I think it falls apart. At least for me, and because then they get into this whole act with him on the island in space, and I'm just like, it just didn't work. So I'm I know I'm way higher than you, but I'm giving it a 2.5 because I really enjoyed the first
I'm going
2/3.
1.5.
Okay.
It was
The 2.5 for me.
legitimately 2.5, 3 stars.
Yeah.
Even though I had the weird confusion, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just I like what's happening, except for boy, did I ever not like what happened.
Yeah.
and then you're right, and then they just ignore it, and then they ended on this weird space joke, which is like referenced in the poster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? This has nothing to do with the rest of this fucking movie.
It was actually a pretty good poster. Like,
Yeah, the poster's kind of nifty.
Yeah, so I
mean, I wouldn't have known what they were referencing until the end of the movie. So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
Oh, that's where that came from. Okay.
Sure, whatever.
Okay, well...
Space Bishop is what he's called. Space Bishop.
That was Heavens Above. A little bit of a misfire, I think. Irma la DOUCE. Billy Wilder's Irma la DOUCE is our next movie. Last one.
Yes.
This is the one you were like, you really wanted to watch it because you saw a part of it, right?
Okay, somewhat spoiler alert. Having watched this, I'm like, I saw this whole fucking movie when I was younger.
Okay.
But I didn't remember anything until every scene. I'm like, oh, I remember this, I remember this. No, I remember it, but I didn't remember it until it happened.
Yeah. So this is Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine. Have you seen The Apartment?
I have seen The
That's
Apartment.
one of my favorite movies.
Oh, Apartment's amazing.
And so this was them coming back together. This was Billy Wilder. He made a movie in between the two, which is a very underseen, underrated film called 1, 2, 3 with James Cagney in his last starring role, and I love that movie. It is a satire on communism. Yeah,
Cagney.
Yeah, this is an interesting movie. So it's an odd movie because it's different than a lot of movies.
It's different. Okay,
this is a
the
screwball movie.
After watching this, I'm like, I'm going to wait for Austin's synopsis of the 850 things that happened in this fucking movie.
So yeah, it's Jack Lemmon plays. Well, first of all, Shirley MacLaine. She was nominated for this movie actually.
I believe it.
Best actress. So
I believe it for 95% of the time.
So Shirley MacLaine plays Irma la DOUCE, and she is a sex worker. And this is in Paris. A really great, I think, job at showing actual footage from Paris, and then the sets,
and then American people with no French accent.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but that's fine.
It's 1963 Hollywood. That's usually what it's gonna be.
But there are some French people in the movie.
Yeah. So Shirley MacLaine, she has her little dog, and she's the most popular of the sex workers, I imagine. Yeah,
there was a couple of sex workers I did not hate.
No, I'm just saying. But
like, holy shit, look at that sexy one.
But it shows like the opening shot is like, this guy's walking down the street. He passes all the people, and there's all different ones.
They go straight to her.
But the thing is, everyone else seems to be really trying. She just sits there with her dog, not even looking, and the guy whispers in her. She's like, "Why not?" And goes upstairs. And then the camera like pans up, up to the stairs, and then the opening credits and stuff happen, and it shows her, kind of establishes her, is really good at getting money from people because she's always telling sob stories, right?
She makes up bullshit.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, but then my dog and blah blah blah, and then they put more money in there. She's like, thank you, and that was kind of a running gag in the first like 5 minutes when they keep on showing all these guys go and stuff. It's like, do you take traveler's checks?
Yeah, see, okay, as much as I said I remembered, I just remembered that I had seen it. I didn't remember the movie. I remembered one scene, which is the reason we watched it.
Right.
I told you about one specific scene.
Right.
And that's an Irma la DOUCE.
Yeah,
I'm like, all right. And then we ended up watching it.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, this is the movie. And I'm like, oh, this is it. We got to watch it. So Jack Lemmon plays a inspector, and he's an honest policeman. He worked at, his last assignment was he was at a children's playground where he saved a kid, and he got like promoted. And so I guess, now you're working with where the sex workers are.
Promotion doesn't last long.
Yeah, no. So he goes and he's like sees all these girls, and they're like, one of them like makes kissy faces, and I love his little, he's doing that kissy face. And so he goes into the bar or whatever, and across the street, and it's the tavern, and it's Louis Jacoby plays Le Moustache.
Oh yeah.
No,
he's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Interesting thing, Charles Lawton. The great Charles Lawton, he was originally supposed to be Moustache.
Oh.
And he was too ill, and then he ended up passing away.
Oh, that sucks.
So Billy Wilder. So then he gets.
I feel bad about that.
No, Jacoby's great in the movie.
He's fucking amazing.
No, he's really good.
I can't imagine anybody being better in that role.
I don't know. For Lawton, I think would have knocked out the park.
They're both really good. I mean,
anyways,
I didn't say it'd be worse.
No. So Moustache is there, and he's like talking to us like, what's going on with these women across the street? And he's just like, they're making love, and it's like, he's like, what? That's illegal. And he's like, see, what do you mean illegal? I mean, it's, you can murder someone, but it's and get away with it, but you can beat someone up, violence, and And so that was a neat little statement. So anyways, Jack Lemmon ends up, well, he kind of talks to Shirley MacLaine before that, didn't pick up on the fact that she was actually a sex worker. And he's like, oh, your dog, and talking to her. He's like, I think you should walk your dog somewhere else because these are little shady ladies around here. So anyways, he ends up raiding the place. When they get downtown, he actually, his boss was one of the customers there. So he's like, who told you to raid that? Get out of here. And so he's fired. He goes back to that street and he sees Irma, and he like talks to her and he's like, okay, give me a drink, whatever.
Everybody, 15 minutes into a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah, this is a 2.5 hour
It's a lot of fucking movie.
Yeah. So what happens is, well, then Shirley MacLaine comes in. He's like, and he starts talking to her because I think he legitimately liked her. Like, oh, because she gives off some good vibes. She didn't recognize him at first because I never recognized the face, is what she says. You see there's all these pimps around, and then one of the pimps comes out, and what do they call them? They're not called pimps. They're called.
I can't remember. I was listening for it. Now I still can't remember what they called.
I can't remember what they called. It was like a one word thing, and I couldn't remember what it was.
It was essentially French pimp. Okay?
Yeah. What with this Irma's pimp? Because he's like, what are you doing? He's like pretty much kind of being pretty rough with her.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, and he's like, you go, and he's really good in the movie. Actually,
he's good.
But
he's in the movie a lot, actually.
Yeah. And he's just like, yeah, you go and do you gotta go do your stuff, make my money. And he's like, hey, you're interrupting, and that's where this big fight happens, and it's a great scene.
Oh, that's the scene that I remember.
Yeah, and that's why you wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And Jack Lemmon, and like he's getting beat up, and there's this running gag that when people get beat up and knocked out, the mustache takes the little seltzer water and he's like sprays it on their face to wake them up. And it happens like 8 times in this movie.
It does happen a lot.
But he gets knocked out. He gets back up and he knocks him out again. He gets back up and then he takes this pool cue and he's like, now you've made me a man. I'm a real tiger. And he throws the cue ball into his mouth.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and he's like punching him, not doing anything. But then he like does this thing where he winds up and he really throws himself at him and they fall on the pool table and like he does this flip. And then he takes like the chandelier and he like knocks him in the head repeatedly with the chandelier. So it's really great.
It's weird because I expected, because I hadn't seen that scene
in context
in a really a long time, but I did remember that scene. I'm like, I'm gonna have misremembered that scene. It's not nearly as cool as I remember.
No, it's cool.
And I'm watching, I'm like, pretty fucking cool.
No, I think it's a great scene. Well, then it was like he earns the respect of all the other pimps. They shake his hand. Irma's like, you know what? Put all his stuff on my tab. Come up with me. We're not going to the hotel. You're coming to my personal private place. And it's really cute because Jack Lemmon is pretty innocent. It's like, how many women have you been with? Just one? I'm like, oh, more than that. Oh, 3? Not as many as that. And so, but Jack Lemmon is like, oh, could you put your thing on? Your eye goggles or a sleep mask
because he's gonna take off his outer garment.
Yeah. And so she's like, wow, you're really something. Like she can't believe. And the way that she looks at him as he's fumbling around, you just can tell that she is kind of falling for him. And
I'm just astonished by the fact we haven't actually got to the plot of that. So much happens in this fucking movie.
So I thought that was really sweet and really, really cool. Yeah. So now he is her business manager pimp.
He's the king of the pimps too, baby.
Right.
Because he beat the king up, and now he's the new king.
Well, and it's funny because obviously of the way he is, he's not used to this lifestyle. Immediately, he's super jealous. He's like not okay with this.
She sleeps with other guys.
He's trying to
for money. That's how jobs work.
He's trying to be okay with it, but he's really not okay with it. And because he's telling her, he's like, "Oh, it's fine." But
she mostly tells him about this previous guy from a few years ago.
Yes,
who used to pay her shit tons of money, like twice a month.
Then she didn't have to work that much.
Yeah,
so he's like,
now I can just be.
I have an idea. So he borrows money from Mustache. So he dresses up like an English lord. Lord X.
Lord X. Another person with the name X.
And
holy shit.
Yeah.
What a fucking podcast we have.
Yay. So I really like Jack Lemmon's performance as Lord X. Like,
he's so fucking phenomenal.
He's so funny in it. He's so good.
It's like
Chip Chow and Cheerio.
I kept wondering when are they going to reveal to us that she's known the whole time?
They don't.
They do not.
I was, and
it does not happen.
I haven't seen it in a while. I thought
it's the stupidest new thing in the world.
So, anyways, we even have to sleep together. She should have known that. So it was like,
No,
oh,
she
yeah.
wants to play. He wants to play
Yeah.
two-handed solitaire,
Yeah.
which I'm like, not a thing. Okay, just play solitaire or play a two-handed card game.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah. So, anyways, so that's what they do, and they don't sleep together. And she's like, huh. But the thing is, she gives him the money, and then she has to give it. He has to give it back to
That
the
doesn't happen.
mustache. But yeah, right. So now he has to go to work. So now he's working at all these jobs at night, like doing meat market and the
Yeah.
food market.
Without her knowing.
Without her knowing, he sneaks out.
He sneaks out like the window, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "There's a door. You live there now.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know the door."
So he sneaks out, comes back in, and now he's too tired to actually spend time with her because he was complaining that she didn't spend time with him. So now it's like the other way around.
yeah.
And so
she
she
thinks he's because at one point she
Yeah.
catches him
yeah.
coming back
So
in.
she thinks he's
assumes,
having
he's
yeah,
banging one of the other girls.
Yep. And that's actually fight's pretty funny between
yeah,
the
yeah,
two
it's funny,
ladies.
it's
It's
funny.
really good. And then there's a scene in the movie where where she confronts him.
We're
and
getting
he
there,
kinda-
everybody. We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're moving
He-
along in the movie.
He kind of turns into a jerk.
Oh, he's a real. He
And-
actually is kind of a dick.
And then
He
he
hits
like
her at one point.
he
and I'm
hits
like,
her at
oh,
one point, and I
no.
was like, oh, I wish that scene wasn't in there.
I wish that doesn't need to be in the scene.
I
I,
was-
understand it's happening because he literally is
I
super
think
tired.
I
he
honest-
hasn't slept in like a month.
I
But still,
honestly
you
think,
don't need that scene.
I honestly think you could have that scene without that. You
You
could have
don't.
not.
You do not have to have that. She can still be mad,
Yeah.
and she doesn't have to. He doesn't have to hit her to make her
Yeah.
mad. She's
Even
already
before that, he
super
twists
mad.
her arm before that too, and I was still like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you
So-
don't need that. You don't.
Yeah.
He can still be mad
Yeah.
because he's trying to keep this secret. You just
Yeah.
don't need that. You don't need that shit. It's
Yeah,
like,
so
oh, I wish
anyways,
that wasn't there.
It's just so now Shirley MacLaine's really upset about that, but now he's just like, you know what? He's now jealous of his alter ego.
of Professor X,
And she
Lord
sleeps
X.
with him too. She sleeps with the professor.
She
eventually,
does.
Yeah. So anyway, so he has this thing. I was like, I'm gonna kill him.
I can't believe he fucked. I can't believe he slept with her. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
That
hey.
that scene itself was
that
funny.
is hilarious.
Yeah. The way he
Because-
explains it to
Because
Mustache
Mustache is like, he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
He's you. Okay, he's not a real person.
So
Shut up, you moron.
So no, I thought that was really funny, and so then he's like, I'm gonna kill him. So he actually like takes all his stuff, and he has an eye patch too. I love the eye patch.
Oh, when she
and the eye
fucks
patch,
up. Oh,
yeah, it's like there's some funny stuff.
It's movie's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so fucking.
So
it's
then
a
what
great
happens
movie.
is he takes he takes all his stuff and throws it out. Well, the thing is, the other bad pimp follows him because he was gonna rob the Lord.
he was going
X.
to rob Lord because Lord showed a bunch of money
Yeah.
because she didn't take the money
Yes.
this time.
So this time the Lord, the pimp like hears the water drop and then sees.
Well, keep in mind, she thinks she's going
Yeah.
to live with the Lord back in England.
Yeah.
And because he is like Lord of
Yeah.
Westonshire or whatever.
Whatever, he's a castle, whatever. Anyways, well, the pimp like hears this and then sees Jack Lemmon walk out. He's like, "You killed him! I'm gonna call the police.
Yeah.
I know who killed this guy." And so he gets arrested and does time. And then, of course, there's the mustache who's just like, "Oh, I'm a lawyer." Blah 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 blah. That's another story. Oh, that's another running gag with him. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
he keeps on bringing shit up.
It's listed on here. He is, let's see, an attorney, a colonel in the Foreign Legion, a doctor who worked with Albert Schweitzer.
Yeah.
Okay, those are only 3 of the hundreds of things that he has.
Oh,
done.
another thing before we get into, I love how Lord X, Jack Lemmon, when he. To be British, all he does is he brings up movie stuff. Oh, Mutiny on the Bounty and Lawrence of Arabia and Bridge on the River Kwai. He just does movie stuff all the time.
He says "pip pip cheerio."
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Oh yeah.
So anyway, so he's in
hilariously
prison.
awful.
There's a great shot in prison though when the prison guards or the prisoners are like
Oh,
walking. in
that
a
shot is
circle.
amazing. I have it in my notes
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that little panic shot. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fucking amazing. That's
So
an amazing.
I thought that
shot.
was cool. So then they're trying to get him out. So he escapes prison.
That is
and-
also a hilarious scene.
Yeah.
The prison escape.
Oh yeah,
right
because
in
of the
front of that cop.
Yeah, that was really good. Oh, and also too, I guess those bars are made of rubber because he.
Oh yeah,
he's Superman, and
he's got super strength.
I was
He
just like,
is. He literally just does it because I was like wondering. I'm like,
how's he gonna get out of
how's he
there?
He just brute forces the bars open, and I'm
Like-
like, I mean, did they put like weak bars because they just assume
Well,
you can't get out that window?
I guess 2 hours into this movie, like whatever, I'm gonna accept
Yeah,
it.
well, the movie ends on full magic powers, and I'm fine with it.
It is. It gets weird. So then ends up she's pregnant. He wants out of jail, and they're gonna get
Oh,
married.
no,
and then she's
but
like
she's pregnant with
the Lord's.
Lord's kid.
Yeah,
Lord
yeah,
is
yeah.
like, I'll raise him anyway.
Yeah, right. And then so it ends up with her getting married and stuff, and then it ends.
Well, there's a scene right at the end because Here's what you think.
hold
Here's what
on.
you think is happening.
He gets cleared because they go to the scene of the crime, and Jack Lemmon dresses up, and he gets up out of the water and walks out, and you're like, okay, I don't think that's how that works.
Except for that's not what happened.
No, what?
Jack Lemmon.
Oh,
It's not there.
exactly. Because at the end of the movie, when you see the wedding, you see the Lord X,
Was
who
at the
Jack
wedding.
Lemmon created,
Yep.
which makes no sense.
Also still played by Jack Lemmon.
And then he walks out, and then Lou Jacoby, mustache, looks at the camera. That's another story, and that's the end of the movie.
Tony Clifton did.
Yeah.
Tony Clifton.
Yeah, yeah. Tony Clifton was the Andy Kaufman. Yeah. So, when I first saw this movie, I was just like, I was blown away. I really liked it, and I haven't seen it in a while. I still like the movie. I do think the stuff in the last 2/3 are messy.
Here's the thing.
I think it's messy.
Other than the hit scene,
that really bothered me too. Yeah.
I was like, and then the weird shit happens, and I'm like, I don't know. The previous movie had stupid weird shit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. This at least stupid weird shit is there to make the movie complete.
Oh yeah.
In the previous one, it was there because they needed to add some more shit at the end of the movie.
Right. I also think too the movie is almost 2.5 hours. It's a little long. A little bit.
I don't know. I was enjoying it.
So I didn't like it as much as I used to. I'm still giving it a 3.
I'm gonna go 3.5.
Well, you like the movie?
I really liked it.
I gave it a 3.5 when I first saw it, but for some reason, just the stuff at the end, like he gets up and then the Lord and you just thought that stuff was funny then.
I just thought it was hilarious when he comes out of the water, I'm like, oh, Jack Lemmon has pulled a miracle out of his ass because nobody knows. Not even fucking Shirley MacLaine knows it's not him.
No, right?
That is the same person.
Yeah.
He fucking did it. This is the perfect way to do it. He came out of the water. He's alive, even though they literally had his clothes. He still is wearing the clothes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense because it was fucking magic.
So
okay?
Jack Lemmon is terrific in this movie.
Oh, he's so
good.
terrific.
Shirley MacLaine, terrific. Lou Jacoby, everyone's really good in the movie.
Every role in this.
You know what's funny?
Even the fucking asshole guy.
Oh, did you
really
notice
fucking
James
good.
Caan? Did you see Jimmy Caan in the movie?
Was he one of the other pimps?
So at the towards the end,
he wasn't the
towards
one
the
pimp.
No. Towards the end of the movie, he doesn't say anything. It's just an establishing shot when you see a prostitute walking with a sailor, and it's James Caan, and they're walking in, and they go up to the hotel, and then you see Shirley MacLaine walking the other way, and that's who you're supposed to look at. So he's just he's a glorified extra.
He's not the sailor who got distracted by the baseball.
No.
Game. That was a different guy. Okay.
Well, Bill Bixby was in there. Bill Bixby's in 2 of these movies, by the way.
What?
He's in Under the Yum Yum Tree as well. He's in the very beginning of the movie talking to one of the professors, and then
I didn't recognize him.
And he's in this movie too as the tattooed sailor.
Oh, that narrowed it down. Oh wait. Yeah. Oh, that was him?
Yeah.
He ripped his shirt open because he's like, she told me about you and it was
Bixby.
A different guy. That was Bill Bixby?
Holy
shit, I didn't
know that was Bill Bixby. He's in 2 movies on this podcast now, Bill Bixby.
Well, he's part of the list.
He is part of the list. I enjoy, this is really weird because I'm a big Billy Wilder fan. And what Billy Wilder is really known for is his wacky and clever scripts. I don't think he gets enough credit as a visual filmmaker.
Oh.
I love him as a visual storyteller. And this movie is full of great shots, wonderful cinematography, just great blocking. I just love his visual style and his writing. His writing is terrific. I do think it gets a little muddled, and I didn't really like the slapping stuff. So that's why I'm not liking it as much as I used to.
It's not 4 stars.
But
it's a 4-star movie to me.
Okay, without
that fucking scene.
Yeah, I wish.
Like,
yeah.
really knock you down.
But it's a strong 3, and it's super fun. And I think the first half is stronger than the second.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hate the first half. I thought the second half was
wow.
I mean, that's because I just fucking loved it. Absolutely fucking loved it.
No, it's a fun movie, and I highly recommend watching it. It's really good.
And I guarantee if you did watch it, even after our story of telling you what happened, we missed a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
There's too much going on in this fucking movie.
And what's really interesting, too, so that's our 6 movies. Weirdly, my favorite movie, it's weird, Irma la Douce is the best film movie for me. It's the best directed film.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I think But for me, I laughed and enjoyed the Yum Yum Tree a little more.
Okay.
For me, but I recognize Irma la Douce is a better made film.
Okay.
But I laughed more in the under the Yum Yum Tree, and it didn't have a lot of muddled stuff going on. I think everything kind of made sense.
It's shorter. It is more tight. You're right. It has that. Although at the end of the Yum Yum Tree, where he ends up, I think he slept with what's her face, the ex-girlfriend. They didn't make it.
I don't think he
certainly
he
seemed to believe he
so.
had, and they were in that bedroom all night.
That was a
so
funny
I'm
scene,
like,
actually. But
I'm like, what? What happened? I mean, when she came out of there, I'm like, oh, perfect. No, you're right. I think Irma la Douce is
that's your favorite movie.
I like them both.
I like them both too.
And it's odd how different Jack Lemmon is in both.
In both movies.
He plays 3 roles.
Yeah.
Okay, because he's both the what's his face in this.
He's really
2 different people in this.
Yeah. So Jack Lemmon's really good. So for me, best movie, I'm gonna put on the Yum Tree. You're giving it to Irma.
I'm giving it to Irma la Douce.
Yeah.
Although weirdly, I'm not gonna tell you.
Oh,
X is if Irma la Douce didn't blow me away, it would. I'm just gonna say.
I'm so glad you liked it. I'm so glad you liked it.
X is really fucking good. It's weirdly the only 2 movies I had. Well, I guess I had probably seen
3 movies.
Actually, I've seen half of these movies, but
I only saw 2. Yeah.
Only the vaguest of memories of any of them. I'm mostly just assuming I've seen Incredible Journey because it was on TV. I didn't remember a fucking thing about that movie.
Okay, best lead actor. It's got to be Jack Lemmon.
It's Lemmon,
but I'm like, which movie? Because they're both good.
He's really.
I'll probably give it to Irma la Douce.
It's got to be Irma la Douce because he plays both.
Yep.
He plays them both so.
I'll give it to that.
I'm just gonna give it to him and not mention which movie.
I was actually thinking about that too. I'm like, is that cheating?
Cheating is fun.
I mean, Shirley MacLaine's probably best actress too. Probably.
Let me see.
Yeah.
What's her face in Wheeler Deals is okay.
Well, she's good, but no,
Shirley MacLaine.
I would give
No,
it
it's the cat. It's the cat in Incredible Journey.
Yeah, that was a male though.
Did they say him?
Yeah, they said they're all males.
Fuck. No, I was watching. You could tell one of those dogs was not a dog.
Yeah, but it's they were all males.
One of them had full dog dick, and the other one did not have a dog dick. Okay.
Supporting actor. Ooh. Oh, jeez.
Oh God, I had this.
Paul Lynde, maybe. But I really like John Astin. I love John Astin in that movie. John Astin cracked me up in Wheeler Dealers. Out of all these movies, I've never heard of Wheeler Dealers.
I had never
heard of that movie.
It's with the reason is
because it's
just another fucking movie.
So, and like I said, it's not my least favorite of the episode. However, Heavens Above is probably my least favorite, but it's the most. I think Heavens Above is more memorable than Wheeler Dealers.
Yes,
but I like Wheeler Dealers more.
Here's the thing: is Wheeler Dealers was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah,
but only because I just assumed. I didn't. I had no idea.
Right.
The biggest Heavens Above was my biggest disappointment because Peter Sellers movie, and then I'm like, what the fuck just happened in that movie?
Supporting actress. I'm gonna give it.
Supporting actor is Mustache.
Oh, look at you go. Okay, that makes sense.
That's who it is.
Supporting actress for me. I'm giving it to Edie Adams as Irene. Like I loved her in Under the Yum Yum Tree. Yeah, so that's for me. That's or Imogen Coco. She was good too as the maid. Aunt's Edna from Vacation.
I'm gonna go with Irene.
Irene, yeah. Edie Adams. She's really good. But I love Paul Lynde in that movie too.
Paul Lynde was great.
I want to see more Paul Lynde stuff.
He just got shot up by Mustache.
Lucha Gobi's great.
Goodness.
That's good. Yeah, this was actually, I didn't hate any of these. Well, Heavens Above, you were at her heart.
I was torn.
My lowest was a 2.5.
I was confused about Wheeler Dealers and Heavens Above. I'm like, I don't know my fucking ratings on these.
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't tell you if I liked them or not. That's the whole problem.
Yeah, this was a fun episode. I enjoyed watching, and Under the Yum Yum Tree, I was pleasantly surprised how good that was. So.
It was. I had heard of it. That's all. I had just heard the words before, but it's by. I never mentioned the director. David Swift was. It's one of those things. Yeah. That's the reason I like going in with no knowledge because when it's something like that, and I'm like, sometimes it doesn't matter if you went in. You know how a movie's gonna end.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I didn't know how that was.
I don't know how the movie's gonna end. Are they going to break up?
Is Jack Lemmon going to end up with someone? Is he going to reform?
I was positive he wasn't going to end up with her.
I thought he might reform.
But I didn't know if the marriage was going to work.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was worried he was going to get reformed. Or was he going to be reformed? Like, what was...
There was I guess I hadn't even thought of that, but you're right. There was a chance. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad they didn't even try.
All right. So that was our episode, and our sympathies go out to the Kennedy family.
Oh yeah, what that happened? What happened, Austin? What are you talking about?
Kennedy was shot this day. Then.
Oh my God, who did
President Kennedy.
it? Who did it?
It's a conspiracy. No one knows who done it.
I know. Who did it. It was me.
Oh,
Remember when I told everybody I did it?
Oh yeah,
I killed him. I killed him.
Yeah,
I was going after that other Kennedy guy. You.
Oh,
And I fucked up. I thought you were wearing a hat, so I couldn't tell it was you.
You were too distracted by those yum-yums.
Oh, God, I tell you, it was so many yum-yums. So, yes, we forgot to mention.
Yeah.
We tried to find the movie that Oswald was captured in.
Yes.
On that day is called
What was the name
War is Hell.
War is Hell.
It was an Audie Murphy film.
Oh, it was.
It was a couple years old, and it was obviously only in Dallas and after run theater.
I want to look at
If we had traveled to Dallas, we could have seen it. We might have been in there.
Oh, Audie Murphy. He was just the narrator.
He was just narrator, yes.
American
but he's the
War
biggest name in there
film.
because you know any of those.
I
other
don't
fucking
know
names?
anybody in that movie. Set during the Korean War.
Oh, really? It's not a World War II war.
Yeah.
Movie. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. This is the second feature of a double bill from Russia with Love. Interesting.
Oh, wow. We could have seen both those movies.
War is Hell and weird. Oh, that's it. So, Cry of Battle was the other one, but it was probably during War is Hell. So it was a double feature of War is Hell and Cry of Battle when he was arrested.
We could have seen that double feature.
If we went to Dallas.
We might have been slightly interrupted during the
Oh my
movie.
God. That would have been crazy if we actually went to Dallas to see that. Holy shit.
Oh, well,
that would have been.
That's what I'm saying. The time machine now we have to get displaced.
Yeah.
Set that up, Austin.
Yeah.
Set that up.
That'd be crazy.
Okay, so then we can go to like other cities.
Okay.
At least once.
Well, that was it for the podcast. Until next time, I'm your host, Austin Kennedy.
I'm Tim Kaiser.
Yay.
Murderer of JFK.
And
I'll never be caught. I used a fucking time machine, asshole.
Woo! All right.
2023. I traveled to the future to get away with it.
All right. Awesome. Well, we'll see you next time.
You do it different. That's fine. Doing it different every time. It's called takes. If you're doing different takes, we'll use the good take at the end of the entire series.
Yay! Probably not.
No.
Okay.
Well, we'll have a vote amongst all the fans.
Yeah.
On which time you said it best.
Yay! Okay. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.